Hello, everyone, and welcome to Play Dicely After Party. My name is Christy Clow, and this is the Talkback Show, where myself and my wonderful castmates and our incredible DM discuss the most recent episodes of Play Dicely. Well, not the most recent, because we're working through a backlog, but we are trying our best. Play Dicely is our actual play show that airs live here on YouTube every other Sunday at 6 p.m. And that's different because last time it was Twitch, but if you're thinking it's Twitch, that's old information, not anymore. And because now we're on YouTube, you're hearing music right now, and that music is from Tim, by Tim from Tabletop Audio. So thank you to Tim. So today we are going to attempt to discuss 3 episodes. We'll see how tight we can keep it. But they will be episodes 52, 53, and 54. An Open Mind, Weight of the World, and Brain Blast. I feel like around episode 54, our titles just started getting weird.
Adam hasn't been here. What's happened? So they're all really weird now.
He was here for Brain Blast, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yes.
Was he? Okay.
Wait a minute. Was he?
It was. Adam is not the only source of good titles. We also have good titles, team.
Okay.
I think Anthony just wants to acknowledge that he has good titles sometimes too.
You all also have good titles.
Yeah, like the one that we will be discussing in the next next season, in the next episode of After Party, which I came up with. Squash
season
soup.
5?
What? Anywho.
I mean, I've been editing the Let's Call It a Nights, and I think the downhill slope started at shifting focus with the $sign.
Yeah, it's true.
What?
You gave us an inch and we have taken a mile.
Yeah, for sure, as we are very wont to do.
Yeah. To use the measurement system that doesn't make sense, America.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I've been playing
this
Baldur's
is some
Gate with
funky
feet.
music happening here too. Anyways, I'm trying to keep it tight. So let's go. All right, so we're going to be talking firstly about episode 52, An Open Mind. So this one started off with us fighting some wind monster assassins.
Those are cool.
Yeah, they were neat. I really don't remember much from this fight.
Good
I was just thinking, this was almost 3 months ago.
It
Yeah.
sure was.
This episode.
Yeah, let me actually bring up my actual
Derek almost died several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This stream was my birthday stream. That's how long ago it was. And I'm fully decrepit now, so ages.
It's been 82 years.
Truly all I wrote for this fight was just that I rolled really well, I think. So that was good, I guess. I don't remember it, but
All I wrote was, we saved Ferric.
yeah, we did. We saved Ferric from dying, but at the end of the fight he was obviously not doing so well because he kept just passing out. So we bring him to some healers and he gets all kind of checked out and everything. And then after the fight, we meet up with Baldane and we cast our very first Brain Blast, aka Zone of Truth.
I thought
Go ahead.
we changed what Brain Blast was later, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we? Because now it's
Brain
Brain
Blast
blasting
was
is
protection from evil and
protection
good.
from
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck me.
Zone
I
of
guess.
Truth was the brain litmus test.
Did I or did I not, right before this started, tell you to never correct me?
I can't answer that
true.
question due to the same question.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
so true. Okay, so we did Brain Blast Junior before we'd really kind of figured out the details, which was casting Zone of Truth and asking Baldane the weirdest questions of all time. Just kind of, is your brain your brain? Did it come with your body?
Yes.
Really casual stuff like
Really
that.
so
Have
weird.
you ever once been a brain outside of your body, just walking
Yeah.
around, hanging out?
I
Obviously
feel
we-
good about those. Do we think that actually would have worked?
That was what my question was too. Like,
Who
do we
knows?
think that really proved anything?
I don't think it does anything, but it's peace
Gideon,
of mind.
yes. Ryan,
Yeah.
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 I don't
Best we
know
got.
for sure if it was effective. And I guess we have truly no way to validate if it actually did anything or not, but we
Yeah.
can hope and dream.
Yeah, it would be cool to get our hands on a brain at some point and just see what might actually work, but
Yeah.
We'd have to
We're on a
know
different
'cause
path now.
the issue is like we'd have to either like feed someone a brain, killing them,
Right.
Because if
That's
we
a weird arc for us.
yeah, because if we were to legitimately brain blast them, then the brain would leave. So it kind of defeats the purpose of us knowing if this questioning works or not. So
We would have to go. We would have to go back to episode 32 for science. Or was it
we
31?
could find someone who's like on death's door and like
31?
you know how people donate their bodies to science.
Right.
It's kind of like a fantasy way they could do that for us.
The fantasy organ donor.
Yeah, but except the
Except
organ.
we're donating an organ to them.
Yeah, the organ is the healthy organ they have isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Can an intellect devourer enter an empty head? Does it have to eat the? Well, I guess it does have to eat the brain
I think
to
it
know
has
the
to
memories.
be living.
Yeah.
It has to be a living creature. I don't think I can animate a corpse.
That's an interesting theory. I feel like assuming everything that's not the brain is intact, I feel like it could do it.
I would be under the impression, because it's a tool of the DM, you can get a little creative with that. What I would probably do is like, I would be like, yes, however, there were no memories to absorb, so it would be basically a new person, or it would use the memories of somebody else.
Yeah, that's how I'd run it.
Oh, if it had like eaten a different brain before.
Does it
Yeah.
keep the memories of the previous brains that it's eaten?
Yeah,
I'm
Probably
going
for
to
a
say
time.
yes.
probably for a time.
It's canon.
I don't like
Okay.
that at all. These things suck ass. Let me just say.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so
Actually,
cool,
they've
though.
got no mouths, so
Yeah, they just make
And
you
how
giggle.
they eat?
ass isn't on
Magic.
the menu.
They
Ass
like
is always on the menu if you're
They
not a
like
coward.
You know-
ironically like make your
Intellect-
brain disappear.
You know, Intellect Devourers and Ant-Man have a lot in common now that I think be it.
An Ant-Man?
Yes,
What?
because they
both
enter
killed
the body through unwanted means.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't hear
That's
there's a
a nerd
connection.
Marvel joke. Anyway,
You talk about
I
how
didn't-
Ant-Man killed Thanos by climbing up his ass.
yeah, that's the one.
Outstanding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God.
Anyways,
If
so
only.
we after questioning Baldane, we returned to the rest of the Learning Circle, and we finally filled them in on everything, including everything we know about the Druids and what we've been up to, which
Okay.
was a long fucking time coming. Because
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea.
yeah, it was just like it's really hard. Obviously, like we have our reasons for not wanting to trust people, but at a certain point, it just makes things like not progress if you're just going to be constantly like, I can't tell anyone anything. So you have to kind of just hope for the best and start providing information. So
Was that a huge weight off your shoulders, Denny, when we finally told them?
It honestly didn't mean much to me. I think it was important for you guys. Like,
Nah, Denny was
I-
enjoying himself. He was like, "Oh, these players, they got nothing on their team
I
at
think-
all. I can
yeah.
do whatever I want."
I think the like kind of what Ryan's actually describing there. Like, I think the fact that you guys had refused to tell people for so long, like, barred you off from certain alliances or from certain understandings and certain leniences from people who just would want to, like, know more or help maybe. So you kind of shut yourself away from potential allies in a sense. But I also want to follow that up with a question to you guys. How do you feel now at this point in the campaign in comparison to way early in the campaign when there was just so much hostile forces like around you all the time?
like
Oh,
what?
interesting.
Like who?
I mean, we just didn't have anyone to trust other than ourselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you went to Grassfire, they betrayed you. You guys
Oh,
went
yeah.
to Valenbridge, it was run with criminals and whatnot, and you guys were very picky about, like, who you were, like, actually befriending. You were suspicious of Parsival immediately when you met him.
Well, to be fair,
Well,
that was
correct
less.
suspicion.
It was.
Well,
great.
that,
was
but
correct
also
suspicion.
that was less like from. That was almost like a meta sense. Like it was less
Yeah.
from like everything that happened to the character. I think that was me and Dallas's like woman sense
Ugh.
going off of being like,
That's
this guy's a
gross.
creep. This guy's a
Shit.
fucking creep. Like,
Which is valid.
so, yeah.
It was the Joker introduction that he had where he put.
It was. It was
It
like
was
the
leaning over
the
the
leaning
chairs.
over.
Yeah.
It was like. I think, which is again, we've talked about this before, but it's just like the interesting thing of like different players' perspectives on things. Of like the two women being like,
I mean,
I
yeah.
don't like that.
Also, based on my choice of words, like, it could have felt very differently. Like, this gentleman crosses his arms and rests them on the back of one of your chairs, and like in a friendly voice says, "Good morning" or whatever. But in any case, let's get back to the question I kind of posed to you. How are you feeling now in comparison to then, when it was just so suspicious? And do you still feel like you have to hold on to that a bit, or are you?
Well, you're running this game, so yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the meta.
The end of
I
the
want to
day,
know
I
what the
always
characters
have to
are doing.
remember.
Okay.
Danny's at the end of this. No, I think definitely. I mean, I feel like we feel like heroes now. Like we have like that connection back to the learned. We've got our keep. We have like people who work for us and
So
people
much
we
money.
report to, and so much money. Yeah, I feel like especially recently we feel much more hero-like.
I think from a player standpoint, like, it's been kind of Nell navigating like almost like the binary, like good and evil kind of thing, and how that doesn't exist, and just like how do you know who to trust and everything. So I don't think, like, she would have probably come into it pretty naive and just being like, yeah, I think like we can tell people things. I think she'll always try and like err on the side of like it's probably better to share, but because she's operating in a group, it really has to be like a consensus before we do anything, because there's so many secrets being thrown about. So, but, like, I was definitely on the side of like telling the learned much earlier than the rest of the group was.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I feel like that encounter in Grassfire just really shot Drax's like trust of just like strangers in general. But he's slowly building it back up, and I think telling the learned about this world-shattering stuff that's happening. It's good. It's good. It's nice to have friends in high places.
Gideon trusts like people who don't have big power. He trusts the common people. He does not trust anybody with any form of agency over other people's lives, though. Just based on what's happened to him.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it made a lot of sense that you like really felt for Hillip, because you knew what his trajectory came from. Like, he grew into that position and clearly championed for that kind of person you're describing. So it's like, yeah. Meanwhile, the others are like, yeah, they were kind of in privileged positions already, and just became more privileged.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. He was slow to trust the learned for sure, but once they earned his trust, he was like, okay, like, we have to. So.
Yeah, I think like I was thinking about this the other day, actually, like kind of a through line for Nell has been that she'll never judge like an individual from a group based on the entire group's actions. Because that's like, it hasn't really come up recently, but like, everything to do with the dragons and like various, like even just like within our friends, it's like I'm not gonna judge like Abe for the actions of Malden kind of thing. So it didn't super apply to the learned, because they were all coming from like different, like, it felt, even though they were part of a group, it all felt individually based because they're all coming from their own unique backgrounds to be part of that council. So yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Hopefully everything works out.
I think it was helpful when we talked to Hillip, and Hillip said that he trusted everyone from the learned circle as well, right? That was an earlier episode than this one, yes?
I think it was the one before.
The one
Yeah,
before this
and
one?
A Mind for Murder.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was a helpful, like, if we trusted him.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot that happened. Yeah, I think that definitely helped push everyone like over the edge for sure.
Yeah,
We've definitely
Go ahead.
seen a lot of scenarios where, people abuse power and stuff. So I think we were all kind of skeptical for that.
Yeah, because we're being wary of like the engine of civilization here, because the Ascendancy is obviously trying to, reclaim the land that was once theirs or whatever. But we're hoping that they do it in a moral way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, like you guys have pointed out throughout the entirety of this campaign, like, and because of what was requested of me for this campaign was, like, you know, less of that binary, like Christy was saying, and more gray areas. Like, I've always been a player with secrets, and now to like really dive into that, it's like, yeah, you got good people. They have wants, though. Sometimes those wants aren't for the betterment of everyone, but they're out there for themselves. And so those gray areas have been interesting to play with, and to, I guess, applaud your guys's lack of meta also, because like you were just saying you're playing in a Denny game, therefore we have to be suspicious. However, you've also just said we didn't trust these characters until you told us to trust these characters, and it's still me. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like, I think, like, that whole thing is just a joke, in my opinion. Like, I don't go into every interaction being like, Danny's about to fuck us over. Like, because
You
that would
don't?
just, like, no. Because I think it would take, like, all the fun out of playing, I guess, for me, if
Sure.
I was just,
That's
like,
fair.
doubting. Because I'm like, the character, don't have any reason. Like, I mean, obviously it's different because you guys are playing from different backgrounds, right? But, like, I personally don't have any reason. Like, if, like, skipping ahead to our most recent episode, like, if I'd walked to that village and been like, everyone here is fucking suspicious, like, that'd be a weird thing to do. Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So,
Mhm.
for me,
I mean,
specifically.
for me,
Yeah.
like watching the episode that you guys just played, that I had to miss back, like you talking to like the village's like alchemist, I was like, I don't know about this one. Turned out to be really sweet, and I was like,
Oh.
okay,
He
Sorry,
freaking knows my grandma.
I know we're not
that
like
don't mean nothing.
I know we're not like talking about that episode right now, but like I just want to shout out Christy. You fucking you played that so well. All right, like Nella's really coming into leadership, and it's like holy shit, like you handled that conversation so fucking well. I was like sitting there, and I was like, I have nothing to say or add. I am simply
No
sitting
notes.
and watching. Look at this leader doing leader things. Like, good lord. So it's just like a little bit of this for you. Okay, that's it.
But
Brava, brava. Well done, well done.
it's a night.
Oh,
Okay,
thank
I'm
you.
just going to make one comment on that, and then we'll jump back to the actual conversation we're supposed to be having. But it's funny, too, in that I feel like that's an appropriate time for your character to do that, considering you just bumped your charisma up to 20. Anyway.
True.
And about the gray area topic, Gath Pollenbay is my favorite learned. The reason why is because I feel like he's the kind of character who does good things for the worst reasons. Where he's like, yes, I'll happily fund this thing that's for the betterment of the whole city because I'm gonna make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the actual like helping of people. It's purely like I like my mansion and I have to pay my staff.
Yeah. That's kind of like the whole fun, in a way, of playing with like gray morality, like especially in a controlled space like this. Like in reality, stuff like certain gray morality things like can really like irritate me because I sometimes would prefer just to have a clear answer, which doesn't exist. But it's kind of the fun. It's like, yeah, like there can be like a good person, but you know they're motivated by the wrong reasons, or there can be a good person who's good to the point of like being a fanatic, and then it like their actions get warped and they start making choices that ultimately are hurting people, but in their mind they're justified. So it's like it really there's like a lot of balance to it there, which is kind of cool. So I do enjoy it, even if it's stressful. All right, so we spent a lot of time in this episode theorizing about what Kardrak's intentions were with the Intellect Devourers and the Wind Assassins, and just in general what the fuck he's up to. But we haven't really figured anything out at all. So I just want to see what everyone's like maybe personal theories about what the fuck is going on. 'Cause I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we touched on it in the episode where it's like, and we maybe find this out in the next episode or discuss it more, but they're just trying to sow discontent, you know? They're trying to like mess with the status quo so that it weakens leadership's hold, so that, you know, if a civil war does happen, there's less support for the ruling elite, so to speak, and Balesville can kind of sweep up things more easily.
Yeah. Feels like weird to me to sow discontent with like such an aggressive thing as the intellect devours, but it just occurred to me like maybe this was like a testing ground, like just see kind of like what he was able to accomplish with them.
Yeah.
And then brought them back to be like, okay, like that was a good like test to see like how well I can integrate it, maybe.
Then if you also think about it from like the average citizen's perspective, they don't know what we know. They just hear like some rumor about, oh, there's something happened with the learned. One of them's dead.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's bad. We should probably leave town. I don't know. Your Balesville's up and coming.
Yeah, that's true. And it also kind of plays into like our whole thing of like us trusting people, but also it's like how like the learned now has to decide like how they want to approach this and like what information they want to give to the general public, because they could be unknowingly playing right into his hands. So
I think I'm under the impression that Kardrak knows we're coming. It's a matter of when.
yeah.
And I think the Brain Boys were sent as a diversion tactic to prevent us from either doing what we want to do at the Druid place or going to Balesville. Like, if Kardrak and the Druid plotline are linked, which they might be, they might not be, I have no clue. But let's say hypothetically they are. He's trying to keep us distracted so that, you know, random meteorites can come crashing down near Balesville and he can come scoop them up. I don't know. So, I don't know. We are simply one group of 6, and there is so much to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always crazy to me like how that plays out in D&D games of just being like, everything's really fucked up. You guys can handle it though, right? And you're like, no, I'm nobody. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, absolutely not. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like I have any theories about the
No.
intellective hours. I'm truly like, there's so many other threads that I have where I'm like, I can kind of see maybe, and this one I'm like, I got nothing. I can't get into his fucking head at all.
Yeah, this whole thing here, I'm like, there are so many, like, this is not even a spider web. This is like, this is a series of knots, like,
Yeah.
threads everywhere, and it's just like, I'm so excited to eventually explain all this to you guys.
I'm excited to eventually understand it.
Me too.
Like, I have theories with some of the sort of information that was privy to the players in the previous campaign. Like, we dealt with a mind flayer in that campaign for a brief stint. And me loving the shit out of mind flayers and all things spooky in that regard. I know that mind flayers and intellect devourers they hang out, you know. They're buddies. They work together. So I don't know if that mind flayer is still kicking around or not. No clue. But we didn't
I'm
get
sure
him.
it is.
We didn't get him.
Also,
Yeah.
I want a campaign where they don't actually work together, and in fact, mind flayers just like hunt them down, and it's just like,
It's a brain, technically.
It's just a walking snack, really.
does the brain have a brain?
That's a good question.
Also, for everyone who has played Baldur's Gate, which I haven't, I've done the character creation, but like I know certain things. Like, was it known before the game fully came out what the plot was vis-a-vis Slug in Brain?
Kinda, yeah.
We just, like,
Yeah.
from the game trailers initially, we just knew that there was going to be mind flayers. Because the first announcement trailer literally is just watching, like, a member of the Flaming Fist just turn into a mind flayer, and then just mind flayers everywhere. And it's like, well, I don't know what that means, so that's cool. Mind flayers, I guess. And then basically the beta came out, and then it's like, well, we got slugs in our heads, so are we...
Okay.
Are we mind flaring it up today? I don't know what's happening. So
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was like you start playing and you're like, whoa, this has some parallels. Like,
That's how it was for me. I didn't know
Okay.
that's how that game went until I was there. Like, oh, good. Now I get
Yeah.
to do this in my free time as well as in my other free time.
Watching the intro to that, I was like, Adam can never play this game. Like
Yeah.
that, like that's the only cutscene I've seen, and I'm like, oh, like, I don't
Yeah.
really even have an eye thing, but that was just like really gross.
Yeah, that's
Oh
nasty.
yeah, I forgot.
There's
Yes.
there's a couple good eye things in that game.
Great. Can't
Good.
wait to eventually.
Couple eye moments.
Oh yeah, with Volo. Oh hell yeah, that's a good eye thing.
All right.
Alright,
Anyways,
but
Baldur's Gate 3
moving on.
spoilers aside.
Yeah. That's actually all I had for that episode. So look at us go, cranking.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move right along to Weight of the World, which a little bit more happens in this one.
Did it?
So well, maybe just a tad.
A little bit.
So this one kind of starts with us, like it kind of end. Last one ended. This one started with us bringing Charity from the keep back to Pearl Bar. Poor Charity.
Oh yeah. Poor
Um,
Charity, man.
Just friggin'
You ask a
She's
lot
doing
of
a
her.
lot.
yeah, just like go over here, go over here. Thank you so much.
We love charity.
Yeah, Charity's the best. But yeah, she kind of very briefly tells the group what she had previously told just Elowen about how she is actually Fae, but doesn't really go into the full details until later back at the keep. I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So we kind of get that little tidbit, and it's like, wow, we've got a lot going on right now, Charity. I'm just- sorry.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, we'll maybe. I guess like we
We
already.
also find out in that Kardrak was in the room when that swap happened.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we were trying to determine like whether or not Manon was there, but Charity did
Mhm.
not recognize the name or the description either. So,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
if body stuff was already happening, who knows? Like, what's going on? There could be all manner of shit fucked up. So,
All man of shit.
and even like, oh, now I'm thinking about it. Manon
hey,
could have
It's a
been
title for
like,
an episode someday.
yeah, Manon could
You
have
tried to take
been.
away my inspiration, Anthony. Tell you.
Manon could have been disguised in that thing that we saw when he was in Alumbria. So
True. Could have just been like, I'm
Sure.
gonna be a random gnome today.
Yep.
yeah,
Today, my name is
Halfling.
Manon.
and wasn't it like he seemed shorter than a regular gnome or something?
Oh, that's true.
Which doesn't mean
But
anything
what's shorter than a gnome?
because that's technically
Halflings.
in technically
are
I
shorter than
hate
gnomes?
this in D&D. Halflings are shorter than gnomes, which I disagree with. Like that, if I if I
agree.
DM, that is going to be a home rule of mine. That like no, that doesn't
I
make any
also
sense to me.
agree, But I'm like, yeah, I'll just stick with that.
So yeah, so it could have been a halfling. Which,
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Like in a world of magic, like how can we trust
Charity
anything
a halfling?
ever? No, Charity's a gnome.
Charity's a gnome.
Okay.
Yeah, how can you trust literally anything? And then I'm thinking about like different disguise spells. Like seeming, you can add, I think, like up to a foot of height or remove. So if it was seeming, probably wouldn't have like registered as if like as them being shorter, because I think it's only like a foot difference between the two.
But
But
on
if it was,
someone who's like 3 feet tall,
like a really short halfling.
yeah,
Well,
I think
look at
that'd be
then how
noticeable.
We can make this work.
how tall technically are gnomes in D&D?
I think they're between like 3 and 4 feet.
Yeah, so I don't think it would have been like if it was seeming specifically, it wouldn't have been that
Yeah.
like, noticeable. But if it was just like
2
disguise
feet
self,
tall, tiny baby man.
but yeah, even then though, like there's also the whole thing of like if they're like a shapeshifter or something, because I don't know how they work necessarily. If like
True.
they can
I mean, I think
change
They
height,
can just change any
yeah, so
proportions of them.
who knows? So there's really no way to know if like Kardrak was kind of part of this swap thing, but it does seem rather convenient that a lot of that was happening around that time. So
I mean, he has to have been swapped,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially because like
but also
Kardrak
they
Oh,
saw
yeah.
his body
is supposed to be
die.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Did Charity confirm that we've like they saw Kardrak's body?
They saw Kardrak's ghost.
Oh, okay.
Dead.
Oh.
All right. Sure.
So like I mean he could have even been like resurrected or something and then Manon separately controlling. There's literally so many possibilities of like what is going on here? It's another one of those things where it's like I have more threads than I can like follow, so I have nothing. But
Yeah.
That's the thing. Take a pile of spaghetti, throw it at a wall, and see what sticks.
And also this body, because I was trying to figure out the timeline too. This body swapping happened before the crystal shattering and everything.
Correct.
My brain
Yeah.
hurts.
The crystal shattering is what we saw, right?
Yes.
In that vision. Okay, yeah. So if it had already
Oh, wait a minute,
happened,
hold
then
on.
like
Ah. So no.
Even Denny doesn't know.
Oh god, all the pieces. Yes. So no, you did not see the crystal shattering in that vision. So it
we just
was
saw it removing.
correct. You saw the destruction of Alumbria, which was theoretically like 350 years ago.
Oh, okay.
300 years pass. 295 years pass. This supposed body swap thing happens. 5 years after that, the crystal breaks, and the surface gets reclaimed. 50 years brings us to now.
Okay. Great. Oh, Kumbalai, stop talking about food. Your food always sounds so good, and I'm like, oh my god. Anywho,
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
so
spaghetti.
I have fucking zero clue about all that shit. Anyways, so after we kind of do our mini talk with Charity, the boys bring Ferric back to the keep, and I think I labeled us the Vades.
Nice.
Finish
I like
things up
that.
in Vilbar. And the main thing from this, the main takeaway was that Elwyn goes to have a conversation with Falloon and convinces him to go and stay at the keep.
Yeah, I can't believe I went into this episode worried that this conversation was going to be too emotional. That was the neat takeaway from me from this episode.
Yeah, sick. And was it?
Yeah. I don't think it was too emotional, but I think it was that conversation. I think went exactly the way I thought it was going to go.
Mm. Like were you
That's good.
were you sure that you were going to be able to convince him to?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
sure, but I was pretty sure he wasn't going to just be like, sure, Elwyn, let me do whatever you want. I was pretty sure I was going to have to try to convince him, and I was pretty sure I was going to have my whole impassioned speech about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I'll
much
give
exactly
you
what I
some
thought was gonna
behind the
happen.
scenes on that scenario that happened.
Oh.
And who knows, you can
Peek
probably
behind
put
the screen.
you can probably put this together because of your insane intelligence score. But I mean, like, it wasn't. There was the problem, of course, of trying to convince him to go to the keep, but then also him getting the permission to actually be located out there. Charity stayed behind after you guys left to move on to Naivara
Aw, God, Charity's
to-
the best.
to ensure that he was able to be placed over there.
How did she know? Did we tell her?
Because she's really cool. And you all traveled to there together so Elwyn could talk to him.
Wow. What would we do without Charity?
Truly.
She's such a sweetheart.
We'd still be walking to Wildeglen right now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, so true.
We've got a long walk ahead of us.
Oh god, could you imagine the alternate timeline where we chose to walk instead and we start seeing the stars go out and we're like, fuck!
We gotta run.
True. Yeah.
We're stealing every carriage we find along the way. Sorry, merchants or whatever.
I love what Kloombalai just wrote. Her name is Charity. She gives. Whoa.
There
shit.
is an alternate universe where she ended up being one of the big bads.
I'm really,
sure.
really happy that that's
I don't believe that hasn't
not
happened yet.
the case.
Yeah. No, we
Denny.
have to trust her now. We
Not the
can't.
case. Please.
This is how I
She
made
cannot
the
go back
game
on us at this
meta.
point. No.
I don't want her to be evil. I would be absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I'm just gonna chuckle at that, and you will eventually learn what that means.
I guess now that like it was kind of at the end of this episode that we got the information that the intellect devourers are going home. Does that change anything for Alwyn in terms of keeping Valoon at the keep, because the immediate threat that we were concerned about was them in the city, which it seems like maybe that's past, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really talked about it, but I suppose after the idea that they're going home, I'm more okay with him being in the city. I don't know. It's all fucked, isn't it? What am I supposed to do?
yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of like a
doing my
balance was
best.
struck where he's like, going to go back and forth a little bit and like, that sort of thing, presumably.
Yeah, at least you kind of know where he is.
Yeah. And it's like they have like a sending stone there, so that he can communicate with the learned if need be, and it'll be fine.
I feel like I did all I could.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I feel like we all kind of did, and like that's the hardest thing in my mind of like us leaving. It's just like we've got a lot of eggs in this basket here, like in Rollbar and in our keep specifically, that like it feels very nerve-wracking to be like, good luck. Like, stressful. But I feel it makes me feel better that Valoon's there, because I'm like, that's like a pretty strong person to have like protecting our keep with the rest of the guards. So yeah.
What level? Okay, Denny, what level wizard is he? Is he a wizard? I assume he's a wizard.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
Like, what are we chatting about? How powerful are we thinking he is?
I don't usually give the NPCs like levels, but I would say he's probably capable of at least casting up to like 3rd level spells.
That's pretty good. Just a little 5
That's not
level
bad.
6-ish. Nice.
He's got some fireballs in him.
Counter spells.
Counterspell.
Counterspell is really good. I guess we should have looked into like what magical warding is on the keep. That would have been really smart.
I think there was any when we got there.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we should have thought about putting some on.
Well, I'm not powerful enough to do any of that yet, so.
No, there am I. I can just shoot the walls.
Well, I guess like we do have Charity. Like she knows kind of people are there too, so she can probably keep an eye on
And
it.
then he's just
Why
like,
did you even
poor
say
Charity.
anything?
Listen, I'm happy to play the fool. All right, to
Wait,
make
what?
a stupid joke. That's how I roll. All right.
Obviously, I would chime into that, being like, yeah, I can't cast spells. I can do that, yeah, because I'm the cleric. Good clerics can do that. Ryan,
For the bit. my
as if
friend.
anyone thought you could.
We'll just leave Gideon to this.
Yeah,
well,
Gideon's
actually,
got it,
that's one of the 2 spells he can cast since level 1 was Calm Emotions and Glyph of Warding.
Wow, that's amazing.
Naturally.
Instant fortress. Here we go.
Hell yeah. No problem.
Bunch of unseen servants floating around, just being like,
Anyway, Charity gives Elowen a new cloak. And that night, Elowen has a dream.
A vision.
Yay!
A dream.
A
vision.
vision, a prophetic.
She's
something,
once
something.
again kidnapped in the night and pulled
Yeah.
away to another plane of existence.
Yeah, just casual. But Elowen obviously has a lot of reasons not to trust people, especially in prophetic dreams. But she does ultimately decide to follow Arturios.
Arturos.
Arturos. I'm spelling his name differently every single time, and I don't know.
I really got to continue working on that document with all the NPC
Please, I was
names.
thinking that today. I was like, I'm so lost. But yeah, ultimately you
many.
decide to follow Arturos. I personally see this as a huge like growth moment for Ellen, because like that takes like a lot of like just trust and courage to do after everything that like Elowen has experienced. How difficult was it to make that choice and not just be like, I'm gonna wake up now, actually, sorry.
I mean, it's generally like probably more of a Dallas choice than an Elowen choice to like go with people in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's just, it's way more interesting to say yes to things, and I gotta know what's up.
Sometimes-
And I'm,
That's the way to make decisions.
yeah. Cause I've been fucked over by people in my dreams before, so I don't know how much I love this in general. I feel like Charity could have given me a heads up that was gonna happen.
Yeah, that would have been like maybe kind of nice. Like just so you're not being like, oh. Yeah, she comes back, she's like, oh, so how did that cloak work out? And you're just like,
what the fuck?
I didn't, nothing, no.
I know. Layla was playing tricks again, actually, is what happened. Don't you worry, though. I'm too smart for that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad I went. I don't know. I mean, I think this was like so important to happen for Elowen. It's like a feeling, I don't want to say a frustration, but a like feeling that I've had for Elowen for a long time, where it feels like so like, I guess frustrating for me looking at her, where I feel like she's trying so hard and like nothing ever like works out. And it's been so much of like, and I feel like every time she's tried to ask for help, people have not been particularly useful. Like the first druids that she talked to very calmly explained things to Azaria and then yelled at Elowen when she asked questions. And then like Wilela was not particularly helpful. The second druid we met said 0 entire words to Elowen. You know, I'm just like, there are like, I'm like, of all these like great like magical beings we've met, they do not seem interested in helping Elowen, and I think it's been very frustrating for her. You know, and I've been thinking about like where she was sitting like this whole time in Brawl Bar. She's like been like just locked in her basement, reading books, casting spells on herself so she doesn't have to eat, sleep, or drink. You know, trying to learn how to cast Wish. She's been a wizard for 6 goddamn weeks. And I'm like, this poor woman, someone needs to help her because we are not doing okay. So it was very important, I think, to feel like finally someone was genuinely interested in helping her. And I think that whole conversation, I think from the point where the Arquette was like, Charity asked me to help, I don't know what happened beyond that point, because I just kind of got too emotional and dissociated, and I don't know what happened for the rest of this whole episode, truly.
I'm muted. That's so fair. Yeah. I also want to point out what Kumbla just said, which was that the like you challenging Arturos to prove himself is very realistic in context of the real world, which is true. Like I thought that made perfect sense to be like prove it, you know, like if you want me to just follow you, like you have to give me a reason. So
well, and I feel like that was another like tricky moment in my mind, because I knew who Arturos was, but I couldn't remember if Elowen did, and so I think there was a moment where I was like, wait can I ask what can I ask you, what do I know about this? So it's fine, I just went with him.
Yeah, I feel like all we would know is like the Arturian Knight connection.
Yeah.
And maybe to Nivara?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, do I know that you're Nivara's dad? I know that. I don't know if Elowen knows that.
It would really depend if Elowen has like felt like asking now, which I have to assume probably not.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like, do you know that information?
Yeah. Our very first hangout, she took me to his grave. Yeah.
Cute.
Super
Very
romantic.
Yeah.
Kind of like not quite the same. This is a little bit more inappropriate, but Mary Shelley lost her virginity on her mother's grave. Fun fact for you.
Outstanding move, I guess.
The Frankenstein lady?
Mm-hmm.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
But yeah, no, I thought that was like really definitely a turning point in my mind for Elowen. And then
1000%.
And just like cool because like we have like out of character like drawn parallels of like Logan's old character and Elowen, and so for like the Arquette to like be featured now, it sucked because Logan wasn't there that day, right? Like it was so fucking cool. But
well, and I think it's funny, I had like half a mind, I don't know, ages ago to like attempt to pray to the Arquette as well. In my mind, I'd been like, if there's a god out there who could maybe help me, this is the one. But I never followed up on it. But it was just like fun because it was a passing thought I had in my brain once before.
mm-hmm.
And I think that the other half of this as well was the cloak that Charity gave me, which was also extremely relevant. I don't know, Denny, like you're like, fuck me over for 2.5 years, and then you're like, here's everything you need all at once. Be overwhelmed once again. But yeah, I mean, that was like an item that we had talked about ages ago. Something to like prove to Elowen her goodliness. Because I don't know that Elowen has always thought of herself as a good person. And so I think, just a very overwhelming mind-shifting night for Elowen, but that cloak was also very important, I think, to remind her that she is a good person.
Yeah, and we talked about the robe of the Archmage, and I was like, I don't want to give you this exact item, because also we were playing in Logan's game at the time, and you had that exact same item. I was like, I got to change this up, but still allow that function to exist.
Yeah, and it's a very good cloak. Someday we'll see it do all its things. It's like the crystal Charity gave me also does really cool things that we've never seen it do. I'm like,
yeah, honestly,
someday I'm gonna use all this cool stuff Charity gives me.
Well, it's unfortunate because you have so many reactions, and that
Yeah.
focus I've given you is also another reaction thing. So, I was kind of wondering if you were gonna just be like, you know what, maybe I won't use this crystal, and then use the Rod of Absorption. But we'll talk about that in a bit, because I think it'll be a great tool for Drac to have as well.
Yeah, I think it's great for Drac to have. I thought about it, but I like the crystal, and the crystal's I think a +2 focus as well, so it makes my spellcasting a lot better.
it also, in essence, you've got counterspell. This kind of provides Drac with a counterspell.
Yes, I think I already have, again, like you said, I have so many reactions. I have quite a few ways to deal with stuff as it's happening. It's a good thing, I think, for another person to have.
Cool. I literally forgot that you were given a crystal at all, so.
That was in the wizard transition.
Yeah, she tried to stick it to a sword.
Right. I do remember. But yeah, so the other obviously huge thing to come of this is that the Arquette gave Elowen the information of how she could potentially break her curse. Not fully defeat the stranger, but at least break his connection to her in a way, which has become really relevant recently, but we'll try as best we can not to talk about the most recent episode, because we will get there later. But kind of, I guess, in a meta way, if you want to go back to that moment before, this is huge. Obviously, this is the first kind of real helpful direction that we've been pointed in your regard. So
yeah. No, again, I think I was so overwhelmed by just everything that was going on that I was I don't even know what to do with this right now. And I don't want to talk about what's going to happen, but I think in the moment, it is still I don't know, what does that mean still to be you're gonna have to fight a piece of it? How strong is that thing gonna be? Are we ready to do that now? There's a lot of. Yeah. But I think just the knowledge that there is a solution is enough, really. The idea that there is something out there, and someone else is thinking about this, and one of those gods that I was sure could have helped me is helping.
And it's one of the few ones that it's pretty clear up front what the negative sides to it are. It's it'll be a hard fight, if it doesn't work, you're making him stronger, you're kind of aware of what you're signing up for, versus all these other methods that Elowen has been pursuing. It'll have consequences, but you're not going to really know for sure what they're going to be. So yeah. Anthony, what's up?
I was basically going to say the exact same thing you just did.
Sorry.
All these other methods are just they seem so far off and not immediately attainable, whereas the one you were just given is something that this group can literally try to accomplish immediately if we wanted to, which we don't, but we get to it.
It's
we will be, kind of.
You don't have to go and fetch anything. You don't have to gain more power. You can literally do this right now. That's up to you.
Yeah. Which is spooky in its own right, but
I was gonna say, I think it's a really interesting situation for this character to be in now. 300 years of this, and now it's oh my god.
The solution is potentially right there. How much more are you gonna wait?
Yeah. Kind of very similar to the way that from my thing, Danny was oh, it's just dispel magic, here you go. And it's is it though? Just Elowen obviously on a grander scale of looking oh, I have to go to all these extremes because nothing else has worked. So, maybe it is a genie, maybe it is a wish spell, it has to be something really big and other, and I have to be at the top of my power, and it's maybe you don't. And like that in its own right is kind of scary, because it's like once you have this story that you've been like telling yourself for so long, to be like, now I have to maybe do something different, is scary, even if it's like leading to something better. So yeah.
Way to play
Yeah.
on the theme of the campaign, Denny.
Yeah, all very spooky. I'm excited for next episode.
Yeah, me too.
In
It'll be
reality.
really fun. But we're
Yeah.
not there yet. So I'm gonna fucking skip everything that happened to Abe, because Adam's just gone.
Wow.
Maybe
Well, you-
someday he'll be back.
He told he who hungers to fuck off, and he fucked off.
Yeah. No, it's a great scene. I will talk about it with him once he returns. I mean, he hasn't told us in character either, so whatever. Yeah, so from there, Ferric wakes up and we go and interview him, and we kind of get his perspective of everything that happened that night with Hillip. And a lot of it, like, we kind of already knew, but it does, like, kind of lead me back to what we were already talking about, which is, like, I wonder what, like, Hillip's original plan was, like, via Kardrak, or, like, did it play out kind of in the right way, like that he was intending. It's like, I don't know. It's just more speculation, but it does bother me. So
You're talking about brained Hillip's plan?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is that what Kardrak intended him to do?
Right. Or
And
was it like a
like a well,
fail safe?
like I have to act now kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I don't know. We will literally never know until we do, so oh well.
Yeah. Does bum me out because Ferric seems like really awesome. Just like a
Yeah.
super stand-up kind of dude. Because I would have been fully fine and been like, you can just have free reign of our keep, but he was like, no, I must remain your prisoner. I'm like, I guess.
Oh, if you say so.
I think you're fine, but you know, whatever. Man, we're going so fast. Good job, us. I feel like so much of our episodes just like us talking a lot, but ultimately we're just talking in circles around things. So yeah, the next thing is like Elwyn filling us in on the dream, and also giving us fucking haunting information about your first interaction with a stranger, which, oh my god, I truly can't believe how long you have sat on that knowledge. Like, a Herculean effort, in my opinion, because I like suck at having secrets like in character, which is why Nell doesn't have any anymore, because it's just like every single time in the first few episodes it was constantly like not backstory time, but I just like felt like nervous every single time we played until it finally like started coming out. So the fact that it was like 2.5 years of you,
I mean, after like a year of it, you stop thinking
guess you
about
get
it.
I've just never held a secret for that long. So,
It was impressive. I was
Yeah.
like, when we started, I was originally planning for everything with Balesville to come out much later, but then we were like, we're gonna go through Balesville, and I was like, fuck. So as soon as we went through Balesville, I was like, oh man, this is all coming out now.
Floodgates open.
But
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it was very, like, the fact that we got into your dark backstory so early, it really, like, I think humanized you, like, and really revealed like your vulnerability and your flaws.
Oh yeah,
And like,
yeah.
I think if we'd have held off on Gideon's story and didn't go back to Balesville for so long, you probably wouldn't have accelerated in your mental recovery / journey to a better place if you hadn't have kind of confronted that.
Yeah. Well, again, right, like as I've said, like when I wrote this character, I wrote him as a character who would most likely have a tragic end depending on how things went. So like the fact that we got to Balesville early was good for in terms of his ending. Because if that came out later, like at a higher level encounter, oh my god, we'd be so screwed. Well, Gideon
Yeah,
would
it
be.
would have been interesting too, because it's like, I guess obviously like we're a group in the meta sense, but like our adventuring group, it's like, would we have like trusted you in the same way, I suppose?
Well,
Because
it's like, would you have pressed is the question as well, because like
Yeah, it's like
we didn't get much of it, but Gideon at the start of the campaign was a very like outwardly just like pure friendly character. Like he was
Yeah.
dare I say it, a borderline people pleaser. So it was he was very much so like I put my best face forward always, no matter what. So that may or may not have even like the stuff about Balesville may not have even come out if it was not prompted to. So.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to think about, like, if you guys didn't go to Balesville at that time, you wouldn't have seen Balesville as in any semblance of how you remembered it. Like if you'd have gone back now, you'd be like, this looks nothing like the Balesville I grew up in. Like, it's so populated. There's like tents everywhere. They're building up. There's walls. Like, so we got to
Thanks
see
for the free recon, Denny.
Yeah, and I think like going
I've
in when
told
we
it.
did allowed like the focus to be on Gideon's story, and like it was planting like the very early seeds, like something else is happening. But like, because if we had come in later, it would have all just been like, this is being turned into a war camp. Like, what's happening? So it would have been like a lot different.
Yeah, because the one thing I remember at the start was because Gideon has the trait. Obviously, he's very honest with people. Right, like he doesn't really lie to people. But I was like, well, what if he lies to himself? So he's fine, guys. So that was the only person Gideon could lie to would be himself.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hooey. But yeah, so
Yep,
thanks
we were
for
talking
just
about-
haunting our dreams with the stranger.
Well, you're welcome, because it's been in my head.
Yo, that shit was so fucking
2.5
cool.
years.
God, I'm terrified,
So-
but I'm so excited.
I should
Yeah.
send you like the whole thing that Denny wrote, because I think
would
it's
love to see
spookier
it.
than I described it as
It
well.
was so funny hearing you read that back, because even I was like, I came up with that?
It was really scary.
God, yeah, this is jumping ahead a little, breaking my own rule, but in the most recent episode, the way the other gentleman was cursed, it truly is like the book I had you read. I almost called you Ellen in real life. The book I had you read, Dallas, The Secret Life of Adelie Rue.
Yeah.
Truly such a similar concept, Danny, that like it's. I think I told you about it, but like you should maybe read it too, because it truly is like, you know,
It's
someone
very
just
Stranger vibes.
yeah, desperate and like inadvertently kind of makes a deal out of that desperation, and it's just like how that can fuck you up, and it's like very cool. But yeah, I would be interested to read the full stranger description as well,
Yeah,
or
that'd
the
be
full
fun.
like that full thing. Or maybe Danny, you could record yourself doing a dramatic reading of it.
Ooh!
That would be so fun.
Content.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about everything to do with what we learned. Yes, Kumbhalai, oh, it's such a good book. But the main thing also that we took away from this is like Elwyn's belief that the stranger could potentially be the fifth head of Vishtak, which makes a lot of sense and is really fucked up also.
But apparently there's also 2 more heads. According to a
What?
message I got from Huyan a while ago.
What? What do you mean?
I got a message
Explain.
from Huyan a while ago.
What did it say?
Said there's potentially 2 other heads.
What? So like 7 total?
Yeah.
Wow, I
I'd
didn't
That's
rather
all he
that
told
not be
me.
true.
don't
I
remember
might
that
need
happening
to
at all.
hear what that message was that you've recorded.
I didn't record shit.
Or written down.
Huyan spoke in my head as I practiced. 2 other heads? Question marks?
Helpful.
All right, I'll have to review that because I know exactly where that is.
Great.
Cool. Okay, we'll come back to that then once we have kind of a better understanding of what is being referred to there. But yeah, makes me wonder, like with everything that's happening, like I can't really even speculate. I'm just excited to like keep doing more of the druid stuff in the hopes that it like further clarifies everything going on with the stranger, because I want to know like like everything. Like, is the whole ritual with the void, was it started because of the stranger? Like, is that the origin of it?
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be
I
cool.
don't know. I guess so.
Because
But
then I'm
no,
wondering,
Well, maybe.
because was it just something from before and that wasn't related, and then it was just like a separate thing? Because if it was that, like, it's always been the stranger that they've been suppressing, and that's the ritual for whatever reason, then like, is there a lineup of like who was the first person to be cursed by the stranger? Does it line up with the druids going missing?
Well, we did that research in Valenbridge the first time,
Yeah.
right? Or I guess we didn't know the first cursing, but the earliest we could find.
What was it? can look it
Someone
up.
grew gills. I have them all memorized. Come at me. I know all the stranger curses. I can pull up my spreadsheet if you'd like.
Yeah.
Their fear was that they
You're such a
smelled
nerd.
fishy.
Yeah, I grew gills and was forced to live in water. First recorded history of the stranger curse from around 3,000 years ago. Read about it in Valenbridge.
Yeah, the thing the lore doctor says, like, stories, encounters, and sightings dated back to like 3,000 years ago. And it doesn't say curses specifically, so either way, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I guess we'll find out. Yeah.
Let me go to the Wilder and talk to Reynard.
Yes. Yes. I wanna go. Well, now like we're losing stars. I'm like,
Yeah, we're not going to the Wilder.
Not yet.
it's one of those things of like, okay, things are really kicking off. Still feels like it's gonna be a while before we solve everything, and I'm like, but I don't want all those doors to be closed because there's so much stuff I want to do. So I find it really annoying. But that's fine.
Hey, there's always level 21 shots.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's always epilogue stuff.
I guess.
Yeah,
Sorry,
epilogue.
Epilogue?
Epilogue. 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 For
I
the
knew what you meant.
initiated.
Unless it's like a spooky epilogue, 'cause then it's an epilogue. Right?
That's what I meant by it. Yes.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry.
Thank you, Christy. You're in my brain. I appreciate you.
Get out! You're an
Um,
intellect devourer.
That's right. You'd think with all the brains I've eaten, I wouldn't be so tired all the time. But here I am. Anyway, so this episode ends with Drac casting divination, and we get the information that the intellect devourers are going home, but we're kind of left not knowing, does that mean back to Balesville or to their original dimension? So questions abound. Yeah.
Reduced to atoms.
Nothing is ever clear.
Yeah. It's great. But yeah, so I mean that kind of ends like a lot of the intellect devourer stuff, which I'm quite happy about for the most part. But I guess no, we talk about a little bit more in the next episode. But
For now.
yeah. But man, did we motor through that. Fantastic. I'm gonna call like a 5-minute break now before we talk about the third and final episode for this episode of After Party. So yeah, we will be back in 5-ish minutes.
Okie dokie.
See you soon. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Look at us handling 3 episodes at once. Just incredible. So we're gonna
Don't take
wrap...
that out of context.
What?
Don't worry about it. Continue.
I'm
Okay.
worried about it.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this episode of After Party up with talking about episode 54, Brain Blast. Yeah. So we start to try and wrap things up in Brill Bar, and we go to DNR to see if anyone knows anything about intellect devourers. And we finally have it confirmed that protection from evil and good works on them.
It
Hooray.
felt so important that someone told us this.
Just,
Yeah.
it's been annoying. Like, there's certain like meta things, and I'm like, it's fine, but there's other things I'm like, would love to know this, and there's like no real good way to like make that happen. So, very relieved to have that knowledge now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were spiraling once you read the spell description. We're like, it has to be a willing creature? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Look, it
That
at
is
least like
unfortunate.
confirms that it's not in someone's brain, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
because they would drop dead,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
why it's
or
kind of
they
like
wouldn't be
scary.
willing.
It's scary to, yeah, that is the other thing too. I guess that if the brain has like self-preservation, it might be like, no, you're not allowed.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation because like, what if somebody doesn't have a thing in their brain, but they're like averse to magic, and they're like, "You're not gonna cast a spell on me," and then
Then
you're
we
like, "Well,
put them
I
in jail."
mean, it's a national
There
crisis."
are other ways to get people to be willing.
we have
That
we have
is
ways to make
haunting.
you talk.
I have some magic.
That was
Yeah.
really scary.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's called Charm Person.
did it
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
occur to any of you guys for the like detect thoughts? You just like detect thoughts somebody that's just like
Would that work? And
I
then
don't
there's
never
some things
believe
I
it.
don't really understand if they would work or not.
Yeah. How much is the brain like kind of being like, I'm getting away with it? Or is it just like having like the thoughts of like, I'm Hillip and I'm, you know.
yeah, they'll never stop me now.
I can't wait to
Detect
heal it
thoughts?
today.
Seems like
Yep.
such a invasive and like scary spell that I can't bring myself to take it.
Tech
It
thoughts.
just feels bad.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
good in the Baldur's Gate game.
It's
Oh,
yeah,
very good in
I
that
get
game.
I get how
Yeah.
it's good, but in the reality of the world, it's so
It is
such
very
a
intrusive.
privacy invasion.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm very not caught up on Critical Role, but like Laura Bailey's character this campaign is someone who has like telepathic abilities always, and just like to her it's actually overwhelming to be in like a crowd because it's just like voices, and so it's like how she manages to be like trying like to give people privacy, but it's like a constant like like having to like maintain like not reading people's thoughts. I'm like, oh, that would be.
I love how she's basically just Mel Gibson from What Women Want.
Is she? Is that the closest comparison we can draw?
Jean Grey.
Am I wrong?
Well, I mean,
You're
he
not
kind of,
wrong.
but I mean,
but I
that
don't
kind of
like
premise
it.
was like him specifically using it so he can fuck better, and that's not really what she's been doing with it so much. And also, he was like a huge misogynist, so it's like that's a little bit different. as
Was still is.
well, in the movie, it's like he had to like hear women's
Probably
thoughts
also
to realize that they were
Probably
people
also.
too, and then was like, oh, I should treat women well.
Wow, it almost feels like this movie could be kind of relevant to today.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about Mel Gibson.
It's fair.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
Kumbla says
valid.
you're not right though either, and I agree with that. Anyway, from DNR, we learned that the heroes of Rolbar had actually encountered intellect devourers at some point in their journeys, which gave us an excuse to go visit Dan the Paladin, which when I originally wanted to see him, I had a whole other reason, and I'm like, it just doesn't matter anymore. Like,
What was your other reason?
I think I was trying to get information for Abe, and I don't really remember
Oh.
now what that was. So maybe I just like wanted someone who had firsthand experience of the Battle of Fulbar or something. It was
Oh,
truly
so you could figure out like if he was actually there or not.
there was some stuff that I wanted to know about like his body, I think.
Right.
Which, you know what? It was forever ago, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm like, sorry, that's a thread that I don't care about now. So Mainly because it just didn't seem like I'd get really any information about it. So.
Not until the other level 21 shot, Go Punch Malden.
Yeah.
That's a
One
fun
Punch
one.
Man.
All the things I want to do now feel like they're going to be one shots, and I'm a little cranky. So.
Yeah, once you roll a crit, they'll be one shots. Badoonts.
Nice. A lot of my notes for this episode were just like, what's this about? Which part of when we're at DNR, they tell us that there are demons in the southeast near the Dragonfire Waste, and that a lot of their best hunters are there. And I'm like, what's that about? What's that
Okay.
thread?
Oh, because we were asking about charity. Or not charity, patience.
Patience, yeah.
The other virtue.
But like, it feels like that's kind of like maybe relevant now that we've been to the Wilds of Glen wetlands.
I mean, we're on the same side of the world. Like, we're pretty close.
Well, I just don't know if it's like tied in, like, to everything
Is it
that's
void
happening.
demons? You know?
Yeah, that's the question. It's like, is there like some hole that we have to go patch? You know?
I think that's kind of the
Never
whole
mind.
quest we're on, actually, is patching a hole.
Whoa.
We just
Interesting.
need some flex tape and slap it on. We're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of damage.
I just sawed this boat in half.
Christy, you're in a good show.
Hmm?
You're in a good show.
Okay. Anyways, I feel like I don't know like how to participate in bits in this show because I'm also trying to keep us in the rails. I'm
You
like,
said you
love
wanted
that.
to become more conversational, and we're just a
I
bunch
do.
of dumbs.
I just didn't really know the reference, so I have nothing to contribute.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, then
you
we'll.
should watch that infomercial.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
Yeah.
it's a good one.
All right,
I know
we'll,
the
we'll be
slapping
right
of
back.
the tape, but
No, it's
I'm just gonna take a quick sec. I'm just gonna
break.
watch it. I'll send you
Educational
guys
break.
my notes so you guys can keep going, and I'll just be watching.
Little internet sabbatical.
Yeah.
I'll just pull it up on the stream and be like, all right, let's watch this YouTube video on our YouTube
Welcome to
stream.
Let's Watch.
I
I
finally
watch
have
the flex tape, Ed.
I finally have decent notes for this episode. I feel like the last two, like the last one in particular, there's a whole section where I'm like, talking about charity, oh god, oh god, oh god, and then that's all I wrote for that whole episode. So
That seems
this
right.
one feels great.
Yeah.
Want me to take over? I got it.
No, I do have it. It's just I don't know how to segue from a bit into serious. So, but we
send
do
it.
go to Dan the Paladin's farm once again, which is kind of fun because it's like we're right there.
Yeah.
And we have been for a while. So, this was really cute. I love Dan and his wife. They're so fucking sweet. And we learned that he doesn't really know a whole lot about the internet and intellect devourers.
You guys know a lot
Also
about the internet.
Yeah. I write because I don't want to fucking write that out every time. So I've started writing them as just IDs. But then as I read it, I have to remember what it actually stands for. And it is a mouthful, let me tell you.
What the heck is a Google?
Yeah. But his only living friend, Floundulus?
Floundulus.
Fabulous.
Floundulus. Okay. Yeah, I took my best
Cindermunk
shot with
guy.
that, but I knew it was wrong. And I still don't know how you would spell it, so. And who
Funny
was
you-
this?
That would. So Nick
Like-
played Dan the Paladin.
Yeah.
Before he played Dan, he played Floundulus. So these are both
Oh.
Nick's characters from the previous campaign.
Okay, that's fun.
Oh, I didn't
Nick
realize
is
that.
really good at naming characters.
He
I've
sure is.
discovered.
Hilariously,
Philidori Plants? Come on now.
Nick always has the weirdest names.
I love it.
oh
It's
for sure.
awesome.
And Dave.
But but also Floundulus came about because I kept mispronouncing his name. And he's like, you know what? That's
That's
it.
it.
What
You know
was it?
I think it was
Floundulus.
Floundulus. Yeah, without that N.
So
I
at
think it
the
was-
L
yeah.
at the end, I think. Floundulus.
Oh,
That's awful.
Yes,
That's-
it's very hard.
Yeah.
But what I love about Nick's naming conventions the most is that when Nick is a player, he comes up with the weirdest fucking names you've ever seen. But when he's a DM,
Yes!
all of his NPCs are like Jeff,
Hi,
Steve,
I'm
John.
Gary.
It's like I'm Gary the dwarf. It's like, dude, it's like I
kinda
love Nick
I really
to bits,
respect that.
But the contrast is so good, man. I am playing a wizard named Philinori
I mean-
Plants. No F's.
it wouldn't be so bad if you just write a bunch of names on a piece of paper before you play the game. You don't have to rely
No,
on Gary.
simply not Denny.
Because no, his name game is strong. He's got some cool names for his PCs. He's just like Gary.
Gary.
Jonathan.
It also,
Not
like,
even Bonathan, Jonathan.
it
Jonathan.
keeps you from running into the problem of like I've never pronounced his name out loud and it's actually dirty or something. If you're just like, yep, Dave, like
True.
so.
You
There's-
can't make Dave dirty.
So is Bonathan like a really good Jonathan? Because like the French word for good is bon.
Mm.
Yep.
There's-
I just really like the Crown of Candy kind of like ripping off of Game of Thrones thing of just
Yeah.
like taking like a regular name and like changing a letter. So it's like Benifer. What was her name? Bassica? Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I love
Ben.
it. Benifer.
It
So
was
it's like-
Bennifer, but
Yeah.
something.
I was about to say I know I sent one of our Facebook chats this, but it was the one where it's like, there's a channel I love to watch on TikTok where this guy just makes old-timey videos that are just like absurd. And anytime he has to name one of the characters, he'll do that where he like takes a normal name, then just messes up a letter. Like, this is Bromson. Or this is
I love it.
This is Steeb.
Yeah.
Jimothy.
Jimothy.
Yeah. I mean, what is Yennefer if not?
True.
Well, that actually might just be Polish, so who's to say? But
No, I think that would actually just be Polish.
yeah, I don't want to rip on Poland. So,
I don't know.
Sorry,
what Gary-
Poland.
but-
sorry, Adrian, as well. Not that he watched this, but anyways, we learned that Flaungulus lives in the nearby mountains at the Cinder Monk Monastery, which another fucking thing I would love to go investigate, but we don't
Love
have
to.
time. Just it's really
I would
annoying.
love to go train with some fire monks. That'd be dope. But
I want to go see everything that
Gotta save the
there's to
world.
see.
gotta save the world.
Yeah, fucking. Why can't the world just relax for like 2 seconds so I can go check out this monastery? Sounds cool.
You had a whole 2 months.
We didn't even get
We
the
didn't
full.
know it was there, Denny.
We also
What?
didn't even get the full 2 months. I
You
don't think,
would
so.
might have if you visited Dan the first time. Oh well, actually, you did
Dan's
visit
like,
Dan. He
you
wasn't
never
there.
visit me.
He wasn't there.
Actually,
That's on
I
you.
think Otham told you that he was up in the mountains visiting the monks.
But like we had no reason to go up there at that point, because like
But-
at that point the only reason to talk to Dan was because I wanted to for some random thing, but no one else
Yeah.
had any desire. So I'm like, I'm not
But-
gonna make the whole group.
But you knew.
So Jenny,
We know a
Jenny?
lot of things.
Jenny's job is done now.
Like we knew that it existed up there, but it's like it didn't really have a whole lot of relevance. But now it has relevance because it might have pertinent information to us. So don't give me that shit. I'm not in the mood.
Okay, guys, one more
Okay.
level. I'll have teleport. Then we're free to do anything we
Yeah,
want.
we can just bounce
Let's go.
around.
Can't
Just
wait to end up in the ocean when you try
Yeah.
to teleport
Yeah.
us somewhere we haven't been.
Let's go.
Uh-huh.
gonna shirk all of our duties so that I can do side quests because that's what I want.
End of the world? Screw that.
Yeah, it's just stop being so dramatic.
Just
You
go visit
know,
the monks and
Yeah. Denny, can
I
you
was
just
just-
put like a time stop everywhere but where we are at any
Mm.
given time? That would be
Uh-huh.
primo.
you'll
No, I
walk
think I
could
into
do
that.
Lumberite City. That'd be swell.
Owen could do that.
I think
there's
so.
so many like Alumbrian ruins too.
Mhm.
God damn
Like the
it.
one that just fell in Balesville.
Yeah, we're gonna get
Oh,
to that in
yeah.
a second.
Or was that
Yeah.
a star?
Shh, shh, shh. One second.
I just thought this
Um,
was funny because, like, right before this episode, Denny had sent us all like check in like the questionnaires, and he was like, "What are things?" And one of the things I was like, he was like, "What are things that like we've kind of like forgotten about?" And one of the things I was like, "What the fuck was up with that guy that had a legendary resistance when Drac fought him? What the fuck was that dude?" And the next episode, we went back and visited him, and I was like, "Well, I actually didn't think we were gonna answer that question. It's just something that floats around in my mind sometimes." Who was
what?
he?
What survey was this?
The one you
Okay.
never answered.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember this at
You
all.
and
Like,
I had a call because I was stressed, and I went, okay, maybe what I should do is like reach out to everybody and see
Yeah.
where they're at. And you talked to me. You told me to do it.
yeah, I didn't see. Was there a link or something?
Yeah.
He just sent us a bunch of questions in our group chat.
What? I don't remember.
Oh, I see.
It's okay. I figured things
Wow.
out, Christy. Thanks.
Because this whole time I was like, I know at some point you had been like in character, like not in character, but like let's have a chat, like a video call, to be like, where's your character going? And I'm like, well, he never booked one with me. He just wanted to talk about his real life. So I guess he doesn't care what Nell's got going on. So, and I didn't see anything. I'm really bad at reading the chat. I'm so sorry. It's just like if it gets buried and there's another topic of conversation, I don't see whatever the first thing was. So
you know what? I think I might have even like pinned it in the Discord because I was like, I don't want this to get buried.
He really did. He did do that.
It's true.
I
You did do that.
I don't go on Discord. As much as I tell people that are watching right now, you should go on Discord to talk to everyone else. I won't be there. I'm so sorry. I do see. I just don't respond.
Oh God, that's okay, Christy. We've been friends for so long. I should expect this kind of thing. Oh.
Okay, that's so unnecessary. It's really rude. Anyway, Drac and Otham spar.
Oh wow.
And it goes better?
Yeah,
I think it
Zach
was
technically
better.
won this one.
He didn't pull out any legendary resistances this time for some reason.
Yeah.
Why?
Did you do anything that required saving throws on him?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The fuck was up with this guy? What is up with this guy?
I mean, even still, he pulled punches. It's fine. It was a fun fight, regardless.
Yeah.
I got to do some real anime shit too, which was
Hell
hell
yeah.
yeah. That was sweet.
Also, he did not throw or pull his punches. Combination
Well, he didn't
of
use legendary resistances.
combination of your AC has gotten superb and he was rolling bad.
Yeah, true.
But you
How many
also
levels has it been since you last sparred with him?
I think
I was a
So-
level. I've been a level 2 monk for a very, very long time.
this would have been just before you guys got to Brawl Bar the first time. I
It
want
was
to wager level 6 or
It
7.
was like May 1st of 2022, so it was quite a while ago. Or April 17th, actually.
Wow.
So,
It
yeah,
was
I
a
want to say
baby.
you're almost twice the level.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't gone up that much.
yeah, I mean, he's just
Probably
freaking wrestling bugs. So, like, if anything, he's
experience
going
yield.
down.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell else happened? So after hanging out with Dan the Paladin, we go and fill the Learned in on our plan that took us weeks in real time to like be like, this is what we're doing. And I think even going into the episode, we were like,
I think we changed our minds in
Yeah,
the
we-
episode.
I think we did, because I think we originally had been like, yeah, we'll go to Brawl Bar, and then no,
Balesville.
that's not. Or fuck off, yeah, Balesville. What did I tell you? Don't correct me.
I didn't.
Yeah, so we were
Sorry.
like, I think fairly convinced we were gonna go to Balesville, and then we're like, just kidding. Like we talked ourselves out of it, which is like the right call, but it's just really funny to me. And like, yeah, so we go to Learn and we kind of tell them we're gonna go to Wildeglen, which yeah, because we also want to make sure that we have enough time to get the door open in our like small time slot. So
Yeah.
and they're like, sounds good, we're gonna send some spies or whatever the hell to Balesville, and then we'll brain blast people when they return just in case. And they're also gonna brain blast each other periodically, so that's good to know. And yeah, then they tell us about that big rock that fell in the lake near Balesville. And then
man.
since that happened, the Argon folk have been experiencing strange pulses in their chests, which Abe would experience, which would love to have Adam on so we could actually, in character too, be like, what's going on? Because we don't know about any of this. Because I'm like, what the fuck is it? Also, retcon that I have had written down forever that I keep forgetting to mention to you, Denny. I said I was going to send a letter to my family about investigating it. Can I said I did that before we left Pro Bar. Because that was my
I
intention. It's
guess.
just like stuff happened, and I would have sent it to Runa specifically because everyone else would be like, no, but she might actually do it. Oh no, she's not there, is she?
Yeah, she would have left, I think, right?
All right, whatever. Who cares? I sent them a letter to be like, if you want to, this is suspicious and there's a lot going on. Anyway, I decided to write it here because I keep forgetting that I meant to tell you about this. So, but what the hell is
Yeah.
this?
Put the onus on Danny to remember now.
Yeah, I'll bring it up again later. But yeah, what is this rock? And then looking forward into like the recent episodes when Rhea saw a black spot on the moon. My brain's like, is there a connection there? Is this a chunk of the moon?
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
I don't think there's anything there. It's just like
Alumbria just
rock,
the moon?
rock and rock, you know.
I mean, like that big old chunk of rock that fell in near Balesville. Like, I don't know, could be a piece of the moon, you know.
Could be a
Piece
piece
of
of the moon. There's a
Hope you
hole.
guys are a
Interesting.
fan
I
of
know that.
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, there's a hole in the moon now.
The moon's gonna turn around. There's gonna be a big face on it. It's gonna be like,
That would be
That's
so
gonna be a
scary.
spooky night for Zarya. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it starts talking.
oh,
Oh God. Oh no.
Hey, Zarya.
Moon's just like, could be a planet. Just want you to be
it's
good.
just Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Hey.
Mooney Armstrong.
Yes. Yes.
And then you guys brain blasted the learned.
yes, we
we
did.
sure did.
And you took your sweet, sweet time ensuring that they were
Yeah,
all
yeah.
good. You
That was
enjoyed
so
that,
rude.
though.
I
You
forgot
enjoyed that a
about
lot.
Oh yeah,
was
dude.
awful.
I was like, when we sat down, you were behaving so suspiciously with Gath. I was like, this motherfucker is gonna be a brain boy, and then he got scared, and you were like, and he's
And he dies in
totally fine.
gratitude.
Yeah.
He continues
This
eating his meal.
doesn't. Yeah, this doesn't help me like figure out what the fuck is going on in general
No.
though, because I don't know. Like, why wouldn't they be trained? I don't understand.
I
It's
thought for
fine.
sure whatever one it was that was there the night that Hillip died, like her office was a few
Yeah.
doors down. I was so convinced she was gonna be one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she wasn't. So yeah, I'm like, what the hell is happening with these goddamn bugs?
What is
I mean-
your plan, Brains?
Unless they're just hiding out somewhere and then they're gonna grab the learned and then walk the learned to Balesville.
You're gonna carry them like ants.
Yeah.
Carry.
Well, no,
Well-
they're gonna brain them and then the learned will walk to Balesville for some reason.
Yeah, the learned
Well,
are
we
all going to
did-
line up and go, let the execution begin. And then they all get hanged.
Wow.
That would be very dark.
Yeah.
We
We're
did
gonna
tell the
save that.
guards in Brobar to look out for groups of 4.
True.
So
True.
it would be like really suspicious if like the whole group like was like
I would like to hope that someone in our, trust circle
Yeah.
would tell us if the entire Luna circle decided to leave Bralbar together.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Like anyone from our keep, Balloon, Nivara, just
Literally
like any one
a
of those
single
people.
guard.
Hey, did
A
you guys
single
hear that
guard.
the entire leadership committee thing that we have going on here just walked out one day? Why?
Yeah.
but like how would they
Fuck.
contact us?
Guys,
Do
the-
any of them
Our
have
keep
sending?
has sending stones. Balloon has a scroll of sending.
The keep sending stone goes to the learned.
Guys,
Oh, well, Balloon has a scroll of sending.
Yeah.
the teacher
That
just
guy's
left to go
got
to
it.
the office. We're free.
See, when I
Time
was
to crime.
trying to get that sending stone, my thought was very much like, could it be one direct to us so that like our keep can talk to us specifically? But then everyone's like, it makes more sense for them to be able to talk to the learned. And I'm like, it's like, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well,
Oh.
what if I just want a way to talk to? Anyway.
You just want to talk to your girlfriend.
What of it? What about it? Anyways,
I do love Nivara.
Oh yeah.
Don't say that. It makes me feel like we're gonna kill her while I'm gone.
So,
I do love her. She's so
She was
Soft.
so beautiful. Well, yes, she is.
So
She was-
malleable and squishy.
she was so beautiful, and she still is. It's just she also
has
was
a brain.
Also
yeah a brain that just is delectable
That's
in
not
how
yet
smart
even.
it is.
you know,
Yeah.
if I was a
I
cruel
love how
DM,
she's mortal.
You would kill her.
if I was a cruel
Oh,
DM,
yeah.
not only would I kill her, but I can also go, and she's back, and she's dead again, and she's back. That's cruel. She's fine. She's good. For
That would
now.
be cruel.
You mean you wouldn't do that? Oh,
Still
come on now.
mortal.
I was like kind of half convinced that you would kill her mom though, because that felt like it would be kind of a fun dynamic in our
Oh,
relationship.
yeah?
Like, go home.
That's not off the
Hey!
table.
We've been on
Oh,
one date,
I'm
but
so
I just killed your
sad.
mom. I fully just killed your mom. Are we good?
Yeah.
Hey,
So
why
I had
did
to
you
brain
do
blast
it?
your mom.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I brain blasted the fuck out of your mom, and she's dead.
Just to be clear, it's not my fault. She was already dead.
She was already dead, is the thing. So
I
merely
you
confirmed.
can't,
So you really can't be that mad at me.
you
Yeah.
can't be mad at me. I didn't.
So,
I didn't
you
put
want to do
the.
something later, or
Yeah, I didn't put the thing in her head. Is the thing.
Well,
Generally-
now that my mom's dead, I can do whatever. So
Yeah, it's like yeah. So you can go to Valenbridge or whatever you want now. It's like
Yeah.
it's actually like a good thing for you. Why are you crying? Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Well, good thing that none of those things happened or will happen. So,
Ever.
great. Truly, that's all I had for this episode, other than us planting a bean.
bean,
So-
bean. You
Yeah.
guys, you have no idea how much this means to me.
Yeah.
In that instance, I was like, "Oh, that's just one letter difference. I'm gonna say that instead." Oh. Guys, I
Yeah.
really love the beans. I really want them to be planted. I know it's
I'm gonna
chaos,
plant
but
mine.
Hey, ball's not in my court.
I
It just
know.
needs.
I
I
don't
need a little downtime. You know, I'm not gonna plant the bean while we're in a nightmare forest.
I
No,
swear to God,
yeah.
I
That
can't.
would be-
That
Unless-
would be goated. Oh my god.
wow.
If we got the super bean and it just like destroyed the realm. Goated.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuke bean. We do the nuke bean in the
Nuke bean.
nuke
I mean,
bean.
we could do the thing where we drop what the remaining ones, right, and they explode.
That is true. You
Yeah,
can
but I want the
technically-
random effect.
That's the
Yeah.
nuke bean.
We only have 3 left too, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna be that much of a nuke.
It's like mini nuke bean.
I'm still pretty salty about these beans, so I don't know.
Yeah, we know.
They're
You can cook 'em and make
unseasoned.
them salty. Yeah.
But you know, we planted it and it went really well, like it always does. So really
Yeah.
encouraging to keep planting more. I think.
Yeah, I think
I
there's
think so.
maybe, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 good options on that list, but they're pretty cool. To be fair, the bad option we had last time gave us some really cool shit.
Yeah.
Was
But
bad.
That's a
Wasn't
bad
actually
option.
that bad.
I mean, if we were a lower level party, like when we got these beans, we would be so fucking dead. Like if we,
Yeah.
if we
That's
if we
true.
got this when we fought the bullet for the first time, no, we'd be playing a different campaign.
I was a
right
level 1 wizard when we fought that bullet.
now. That is correct. Yeah, so we'd be fighting a mummy lord, challenge 15 at level. What level were we then? I mean, you were level 1, but what level were we?
Like,
9.
Nothing like yeah.
Yeah, we'd
somewhere
have
around
got
Yeah.
body.
I don't know.
That would have been really funny.
We have a
but-
lot of magic items, which kind of raises our power
Oh.
level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is no balance. There is only throw and hope.
Yeah. 100%.
I used to try and balance, but that's gone now. Those days are over.
Embrace chaos.
Those days are behind me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll plant a bean if you continue to just embrace the chaos as well.
I mean, look, if we get one of the beans we've already planted, just like expedite the process.
No, yeah, no. That I mean that the bullet
You guys
shows
don't
up
want
and
to fight
just
a third bullet?
withers.
I mean, this
It just
point,
withers.
just a little wet
Scared
fart.
of
Just pops out. It's like
I've heard of you.
just turns into an old man bullet.
You wouldn't hit a bullet with glasses, would you?
To make a sand castle.
I think at this point, if it was another bullet, we would just obliterate it in a round. Like,
Yeah, we'd
So-
destroy it. It hit one of us for 30 damage, and then we'd destroy it.
Laugh
Yeah.
in its face and go,
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That ends our time in Brill Bar. And we'll get to the other 2 episodes next time. 'Cause some exciting stuff happens, so.
Anthony, you hear that too, don't you?
yeah, I sure do. I don't know what that is.
It's Jackie making food in the background of Ryan's.
Yeah, it's tea, I'm sorry.
You have a fun question for us?
I do, courtesy of Dallas. I definitely read these messages and knew about them, just like I know all messages.
3 months ago when she sent them, yeah.
Okay. Again, I'm like, did we ask these already? I don't know. So
know.
the first one is, have we ever talked as a group about how we came up with our character names or the names for family members and like NPCs? we do this one?
Oh boy, I
I
forgot
don't
all
think we
these
have.
questions I asked. I feel like Christy and I have had this conversation.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if we've ever done it on an after party. How we came up with character names.
We can do it now. If
Yeah, let's do
it
it.
seems like people aren't familiar with it.
Sure.
I don't know if anyone wants to hear how I name it to my a million NPCs.
More than anything,
Honestly,
that's why I asked the
that's-
question, because I wanted to hear how you did it.
That is honest. I'm very interested in hearing how you came up with all
Set
these
us
names.
off.
I spent like truly 48 hours naming NPCs. And fun fact, I actually had made it worse originally. And right before we started, I was like, this is too complicated. And I took it away. But what it was is that like I was trying to have everyone's first name of my siblings be more of like a Goliath name. And then I was going to be giving everyone like, I don't know what they would call that,
Elven
like,
honorifics.
Elven honorifics. And each one had a different thing, and I'd written it all out. And at the very last minute, I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to keep looking back to be like, what the fuck do I call my sister or whatever the hell? Because it was like, oh, there's one for leader and there's one for parent, and like, it was awful. So I got rid of all that, but I still had to spend like a long time because each, at least my immediate family, they all have meaning behind their names, and so the hardest was picking my name because there was a few names I saw that were better, but the meaning wasn't quite right. So I found this one and I was like, that's good because it means
Light,
spark,
right?
spark or something like that. Yeah, light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I all wanted them to have like kind of like meanings that had to do with like hearth and things that were relevant to Fyra. So yeah, it was a lot of just like Googling this name meaning, this origin, and just like constant like poking around. It was really fun, and then sending Denny a huge document and be like, here you go. Have fun.
Denny's face.
But
Yeah.
it's so rewarding. Like what a fantastic experience. And also it's basically
Fair.
you got a lot of DM experience out of creating your village. So
That's true. Not from the naming part, because that was me being too into the minutia.
That's
But
part of it.
it's just I don't know. I have a big thing with like I want names to have cool meanings. It's important to me. So
yeah, I mean as a DM, you know, we all have the one thing that we really like to dive into. I love to do the maps.
yeah, I love a name meaning. So
And also, like, it saved Denny kind of populating a lot of your village with his own names.
It's fair.
that's true. Well, if it hadn't been for me, he would have had to really flesh any of those people out because they wouldn't have mattered.
At
So,
least you gave him a name, though. Sometimes a name
Yeah.
is hard to come up with.
Yeah, that's true.
so Christy, what you could do, because you like to have names and meanings behind them, is you could bait your players by giving an NPC a name that like has a certain meaning, and
Yeah.
just do the complete opposite. Like you could name somebody like Janus, and have them be the most like forthright person ever.
Yeah, that would be really fun actually.
Because
It'd be like a
Janus
fun way
is
to kind of like
a two-faced
play.
person.
yeah, like play with like expectations a little bit.
I didn't know that either, Denny.
All right, everyone else, go.
Janus
I
is
can go.
a god of doors, gates, and transitions.
Ah,
in
lava
Roman
door.
mythology. There's two sides to every door. Carry on.
Interesting.
Go, Dow, go.
Okay. I think because I was trying to just come up with like elven names, but I believe the original name I came up with was Alora, and I liked the name Alora a lot, but I knew a girl, I was working on a project with a girl named Alora at the time, and I was like, she's never gonna see this, but if she does, it's gonna be weird that I'm playing a character with her name. And so I think I kind of just kept going down the lists, looking at like I think specifically I was like EL names was where I was focused, and then that's how I found LON. And I was like, oh, perfect. And then it was only later that we decided that I had a twin, and I was like, that's how I can slot that name in. There we go. We can get all the names I like in there.
Do you
Wow.
find like I'm kind of the same way of being like I don't know, something with this character just has like an A starting name to it.
I think that's
Like-
exactly what it is. It's the
Why?
vibe.
Yeah, like whenever I name an RPG character too, it's like I'm looking for something around here for some reason.
I think I switched LON spelling just out of the blue as well at one point. I think it was EN originally, and then just one day I started spelling it YN. Because I feel like I remember a conversation with Denny where he was like, wait, how is this character's name spelled? And I was like, I guess it's a Y now, because that's how I just wrote it.
there was some of that at the beginning with Gideon too, not with his name, just with some facts, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're going with that. Okay, I'm down with it.
Yeah, I have more recently discovered like the joy of ChatGPT and naming characters through that. It's such a good system for naming characters. I feel like I
Really?
do this all the time. It's so good because you can just be like, I need a fantasy name for an elf that's kind of mysterious, and it'll give you a list, and you're like, oh, I like this one. More like that, please. And then it'll be like, oh, that name was a little bit darker. Here's some other dark, mysterious names. And you're like, oh, ChatGPT, you know what I want. That's how I name all my characters now.
Nice.
It's
That's so
so
interesting.
good for character naming.
I don't use it at all because I'm like biased against it, but maybe I'll try it. We'll see.
It's useful as a tool. I mean, you don't want to be like, write me, I don't know,
Story.
a
Yeah.
story. But
Yeah,
I think as
and-
a
Or like-
tool
or
to
t-
like
or
come
tell
up with
me-
names and
Or tell me a fact because it just will lie and be like, are you
Yes.
lying? And I'll be like, no.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's like if I'm gonna spend all my time just like scrolling through baby name websites, anyways, it feels like just a way
That's
easier
true.
way to simplify that process.
Yeah, that's really fair. Maybe you wouldn't spend 48 hours.
Yeah, you'd be like,
Websites,
what are
yeah.
some elvish gnomish Goliath type names that mean light, and it will just give them to you. It's very handy.
Very interesting.
And then for Elwin's last name, what was the story behind that?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I found it on the Elven name generator. I don't know. It didn't mean
Yeah.
Okay.
anything. It just felt like it flowed nicely. It sounded kind of Elven.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love the politics of the world. I don't know. Why does Elwyn and her sister have her mother's last name and not her father's? I couldn't really tell you, but I guess we live in a matriarchal society
Or
here.
like an elf thing. I mean, my village is matriarchal
Maybe it's an
as
elf
well.
thing.
But yeah, it could just be like an elf thing.
I was like, I don't know, quite a while into playing the game where I was like, why did I do that? I just like didn't really consider that I'd given them different last names and I'd taken my mother's. So I was like, clearly because I'd named that half before I'd ever figured out naming my father. And I think I wanted them to have different last names because Elwyn writes using her father's name. So I think I wanted them to be like clearly different as well. So I don't know. I don't know what the history behind that is, but
Could have
we
been
take
like
our mother's last name here.
maybe they're racist in the Wilder and they wouldn't have wanted you to have like a human
Well,
last name.
Truly,
Or-
like I'd believe it in the Wilder, but I was born on the material plane,
Yeah.
and my
But,
mother
like-
had a human father. You know,
But like how often because you were still a kid when you like went right to the Wilder, so like were you really thinking
maybe
about
we
your last name?
changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like, since your father was out of the picture, maybe your mother did go by that last name beforehand, and then you guys moved to the Wilder, and she's like, well, I'm a widow now, so we're just gonna go back to my maiden name, or whatever. There's so many ways you could spin it. Like maybe Woodfollow was your father's last name, and then since he was an author as well, he was like, oh well, this name isn't suiting me for, like, I'm not getting recognition, so I'm gonna change my name.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
plenty of fun
I
things.
never really thought about it. It was just truly one day I was like, well, that's just what it is.
Cool. Yeah, for Drac, I think I started with D-R-A-K, and it was like Dracon as like an alternate spelling to dragon, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, okay, so he's gonna have like an apostrophe because every good fantasy name has an apostrophe. And then basically just came up with Dracul, changed the K to a Q, and then I was like, okay, I need the rest of a name. And then I was like, okay, so what if this Dragonborn culture takes their parents' names and just smashes them together, classic fantasy, and just decided to do that. So Vera Drish is just a mashup of Aldrich, his father, and Vera, his mother. And then, Brother Boz just sounded cool. I don't know. I don't really remember how I came up with these. Probably
He's a boss.
probably like looked through like a fantasy name generator and like took those and was like, okay, what works for that, etc.
I think I sent you at one point. I was listening to a podcast about
Yes,
Vlad the
I
Impaler,
remember this.
and now he used to be known as Vlad Dracul, and it was like the name
Yeah,
Dracul is
yeah.
also very similar to Dracula, and it all ties back to Vlad the Impaler. It was a very cool
Yeah.
podcast that I listened to one time where I was like, "Is this where you got your name from?" And you were like, "Absolutely not." But
No,
there
I
is
had
a
no
whole
idea.
history there. It was like very specifically like Dracul is like son of Dracula. There was a whole thing there. It's very cool.
And it was like spelled very similarly or exactly the same, right?
I can't remember now. No, I don't think there's an apostrophe in it. I think it's less fantasy spelling, but it's like pronounced the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So with Gideon, there's a bit of a history. Long time ago, I played in a one-shot. And I played as a character called Ishmael Gray, and he was a pirate. Well, he wasn't like a normal pirate. He was more like a hired gun, who was tagging along with some pirates. And he was a very one-dimensional boy, and just had some good old piratey fun. And that was that. And then many years later, I ran a campaign. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to shout out my boy. I'm going to make a little NPC. He's going to be a merchant. In the moment in the game, I came up with the name Gideon. He had a similar sort of vibe. He was friendlier, though. And he sold some cool shit. He was like a guy who would sell adventuring supplies to people who forgot to buy them in the city on the way out. He was the DM trick of, let me help you guys rectify a mistake that you forgot in the city. No problem. After that, Denny said he was starting a little campaign, and I was like, I want to play gunslinger. And what I remember is this NPC, he had a big fuck-off pistol. So that was one of his defining traits. So then I had Mr. Gideon Gray. So I combined the sort of just the merchant NPC with the familial lineage of the random pirate dude in that game super long ago. And then as for my family, I was like, well, Gideon as a name is like pretty old-fashioned. And I was like, well, let's got some cool old-fashioned names. So I looked into the Cthulhu book, and then I pulled that out, and I was like, all right, here's some really cool examples. You got like Ezekiel and like stuff like that, Barnabas, and all these fantastic old-fashioned Victorian names and whatnot. And I was like, okay, I like the feel of this, but it's not my cup of tea. But then I was like, I feel like my dad's name is Sam, and I was like, well, let's think about that for a minute. And then I was like, well, Gideon's also a biblical name, so like it means destroyer, and that's cool. He's a fighter. That's pretty dope. That's also why I made Gideon the opposite of that. He's just a nice guy. He's Gideon the Destroyer, but he's not. He's just a big softy. But
Destroyer of our hearts.
Yeah. And then so Sam, I was like, well, in the Bible, there's a character called Samael. He's the devil, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Whatever. He's my dad. So I wrote Samael, and then I took the name Lara from the Cthulhu book because I just really liked the name Lara. For his mom, I believe that was his mom's name.
Tara.
Tara. I just messed that up. So yeah, Lara became Tara. And then for Quentin, that one, I don't know why, but like when I was thinking of this character, I was like, he has an older brother and a younger sister. And I feel like his older brother, he just refers to them by like Q. And I was like, okay, well, what's Q? So then I thought of a bunch of Q names, and then I was like, well, Quentin.
And then you took Dallas's brother's name.
I say that's so weird for me because my brother's name is Quentin and I call him Q.
Oh, well, there you go. That's wild. This is like way before I knew anything about you. So I still didn't know that up to this point.
I know the first time that like you mentioned Quentin, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's Quentin with an E. And then with his younger sister, I was like, well, I don't know why I did this, but I'm a goober. So for some reason, I always have like some kind of like a little bit of just a tiny bit of a play on words with a name somewhere. And because nobody else had really gotten it yet, it was going to be his younger sister. So Pearl was a name that is a very old-fashioned woman's name. It's also in the Cthulhu book, and I was like, I like that name. But I was like, wait a minute, Pearl sounds a lot like Earl, and Earl Grey's a T. Well, there you go. So there's the
That's really funny.
That's the name. So that's my little bit
Oh,
of
good
sprinkling
shit,
in the
dude.
puns there. So
Good
I
shit.
genuinely don't
Um,
think I registered that because like they've only been
Nope.
mentioned in like passing maybe, and it's like
Mhm.
never
yeah,
said.
Gideon has said their
out
names
loud.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like not in like a way that you're like, oh, my sister, Pearl Gray.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you're not
yeah.
gonna like use the last name, right? So I'm just like,
Nope.
okay, like,
Yeah.
sure.
For those who look way too far into it,
Yeah.
they'll
That's
catch
so
that.
funny.
Love that.
It's a
do
fun
like
factoid to have out there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that. And then with Monty, that was just like I don't even remember how I came up with the name Monty, but
I mean, Montgomery is another old-fashioned
Montgomery was Denny.
Mhm.
I just came up with
Oh.
Monty.
Yeah, he was like,
Cool.
I've got a friend, his name is Monty, and I'm like, all right, Monty
Yeah,
sounds
we
like
talked
a
a bit
nickname.
about him.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I was like, all right, what's Monty short for? Montgomery. And I was like, all right, and last name, and I'm pretty sure I just like, bam, here it is.
You did. Yeah, you came up with Lester in like in the moment, and I was like, that's fucking perfect.
Yep.
What a
Sometimes-
strong name.
Your way of naming your characters is really how I named Reggie. I'm just like, I just need like old fashioned names that like a knight would have. It's like, that's my cat.
Yeah.
So
So it's like, again, like part of making Gideon was like I wanted to make a Cthulhu character, right? Because I don't get to play Cthulhu because I'm the boy who runs Cthulhu. Nobody else wants to learn how to run Cthulhu because it's a new system. New systems are exhausting. You got to put a lot of time into it. So it's like that's fair. But so for me, like I wanted to play in a campaign that would be like reminiscent of that or make a character that could fit into that kind of a game. So yeah, I made Gid, and hell yeah, I'm having a blast.
And
I also like that you have alliteration because I love alliteration.
I also
Oh.
love alliteration. I'm big on that.
I can also surprisingly add to this conversation, despite when I was hearing all you guys, it's like, what am I gonna say? I have a piece of paper that I got names ahead of time, and I just go, that's the one. But hearing Ryan talk about his name, I can kind of go into some detail because that was the one time I like put a considerable amount of thought into Armani Kane. Because when
Fucking amazing name. So cool.
Yep.
So
I was
fucking cool.
when I was coming up with that like alternate side of Gideon, I was like, I want the feel to be the same. And so I kept the same amount of syllables. First name 3 syllables, last name single syllable.
God,
I was like,
nice, dude.
and
Yeah.
and I felt the Gideon part where it was like, yeah, that's kind of an older name. What's another kind of older name? And I scrolled through some stuff and I was like, Armani. Oh, that sounds great. And also in my mind, I just visualized like armor, like body armor. So it's like, yeah, let's go with that one. It sounds deadly.
I was
And,
just thinking of the clothing designer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for sure.
There's that.
So stylish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Kane, I was just like, I just stumbled across it and was like, I needed a single syllable. That fits the bill. I like how it all feels. And then came up with the alias for his alias, the Shark Kid. I was like looking into,
Which I love.
yeah, I was like
love
looking
that.
into like bank robbers, and it's like, what would they have called themselves? Like Billy the Kid. And I was like, I just freaking love throwing kid on the end of this, so let's keep it. And I'm like, I'm gonna make him bloodthirsty. The Shark Kid.
There you go.
Hell yeah. That's fucking awesome.
I want you to make like names for all of us now. What are they called? What's the? I can't.
Alias?
Aliases.
Honorifics?
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, aliases for all of us now. Because I'm like, ooh, what would you come up with? But I also want to say, I want to shout out Nick's Domino is also one of my favorite ones you've come up with. Like, that's fucking cool too.
Badass name.
Like instantly, I'm like, you're cool. Like,
Had to match the Gideon vibe.
yeah.
You just
it was-
swap the
The syllable count.
syllables, yeah.
That's the way.
Good.
3-1, baby.
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. To quickly like jump on your genius for a minute, Denny, saying like you thought of armor and then you thought of Kane, and I was like, well, if you look at armor, it's like Gideon was very like guarded and like had his walls up at the time. It's kind of thematic. And you look at Kane, and it's like, well, this is kind of like the evil Gideon, as we all know. Kane killed his bro at one point in that fanfic that everybody's talking about. So,
Yeah, but-
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Bible. It's that fanfic that everybody talks about. Yeah.
I would actually want to say it's the opposite of a fan fiction because it was like vetted by a bunch of men. So it's kind of like, if anything, it's just propaganda.
Fair.
So
yeah,
like
very
government,
valid.
like,
It's fair.
you know,
Same shit.
we're not gonna get into that right now. But yeah, well, that was very interesting. Great job, Dallas, sending me that question probably a year and a half ago.
Great. That was a
Nice.
great question.
And if we've already done it, well, too bad. You get to just learn about it twice, so you're welcome. Yeah, that's everything for this episode, I believe. Unless anyone else has anything to say.
Okay, we're done. All right. See
All
ya.
right, good night, I guess.
Straight up, we out.
Jeez Louise.
Access denied.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm getting the boot, so thank you all so much for hanging out with us as we discussed our thoughts about the past few episodes, 52, 53, and 54. We will be back next week, hopefully before our next episode, to talk about episodes 55 and 56. And then our next episode will be Sunday, October 1st, and it'll be here on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If in the future you have any questions about Play It Dicely that you would like us to answer, wow, when we did this last time, Twitter was still Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say X me because I don't use it anymore. So you can maybe
Send
just
questions on Discord.
yeah, I think just join the Discord and message the channel there. That's probably the easiest way to go about it. Yeah, we would love to hear some audience submitted questions, or you can always join the live chat here as well, and we'll keep an eye on that. So, anywho, that's all for us for this episode, and we invite you all to join us next time on Play Dicely After Party. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Now I do the thing.
Yeah.